Hi, I'm Jeanne Fiorini. Thanks for being here at the Tarot Tips. Today's video is going to be a little demonstration about how cards can take a different tone or have a different interpretation depending on what the question is. We're all aware that any card can have many different aspects, many different facets to it. Sometimes a certain card is helpful, sometimes that same exact card could be a withholding or a negative influence in a different situation. So we're going to look at a simple 3-card past, present, future spread reading. And we're going to use, I like to think about it like putting on different lenses. We're going to look at it through 3 different lenses. One, if I was looking at those cards in terms of a relationship question. Another in terms of if I was asking about work, what might those same exact cards say? And the third would be a more general personal growth, overall view of my life, not with a specific area of questioning. We would put on those lenses, so to speak, and look at those 3 cards, those same 3 cards, and see what our interpretation is. So let me say that, my interpretations of the things I'm going to say here in this video aren't, the be-all and end-all of what those cards mean. They're going to be subjective, as in some ways all readings are. Take the intention of this video, which is to realize that cards can take on different meanings depending on their context with other cards, and more importantly, what the question is. So a lot of times when I'm sitting with a person in a reading, I try to keep it open-ended unless they ask specifically about a part of their life. I like to just get the vibe and the energy of the unfoldment, if you want to say it that way, and then we can plug it in wherever it might work for them in terms of the specifics of their life. So I often use that expression, well, if I look at it through the lens of relationship, I might say this. If I look at this in terms of work life, I might say something similar but different. So let's go to the tarot table. We're going to look at an actual example and go through some possible scenarios. Please do remember that these are my subjective, kind of off the top of my head interpretations, and are not the absolute about what this card means in this situation. Okay, so let's play around with this idea a little bit. All right, here's our sample reading. So past, present, future. I think that this idea is something that when you're first reading cards is a little bit tricky, because we're often not really sure, well, where does this fit with a person's life? And for me, it's more important to talk about the energy of the cards, what's the tone of it, what seems to be happening, and then wherever it works for the person who's being read for, that's where the conversation and the art of things begins. So let's just talk about these. Let's look at these first through the lens of work. Let's say that we're going to say, okay, this reading is about work. What might we say? Well, whenever we ask a work question and we get a pentacle card, that's right in line, because pentacles are about stability, security, safety, can be about money, can be about job, all of that kind of material world thing. So we see the King of Pentacles. He's very much in charge there. So that indicates that somebody in the past has been feeling solid, has been feeling like they're making the money that they want to, that maybe they're in charge of a business or they're in a managerial position of some sort. So this is a very solid and established card. The present energy turns up to be another king. And the way it comes up is that the King of Cups is reversed, and it's sort of, these two are looking at each other. So the King of Cups is more emotionally based. It's more about, how's this feeling for me? Am I enjoying my work? Am I using my human capacities for connection with others and compassion? Am I using those qualities in my work life? the King of Cups reversed might say perhaps not. So one part of a person who's getting their financial needs met, but maybe their emotional needs aren't being met at work, and they feel like they might have more to give. So it's interesting to see this Three of Wands, which says, okay, if we're coming from here and here's where we are now, what might be coming for us in the near future? And we see somebody who's looking into new horizons, somebody who's thinking about going elsewhere. So this certainly indicates a change, turning the back on this past energy and moving off in a new direction. We might assume honoring the emotional needs of this person with confidence that they can take care of themselves financially and in the physical world. Okay, so again, that's just a sample interpretation of what those might mean if we were looking at this reading in terms of work issues. Let's take off the work lens and put on the relationship lens. What might we say? King of Pentacles. I have felt solid in my relationship. I feel like my relationship is secure. I feel in control in my relationship. I feel like I just get the idea about rock solid with that King of Pentacles. And in some way there's a traditional value with King of Pentacles that it might feel very sanctioned. You know, my relationship is let's see, I'm searching for the right word here. On solid ground in the community. Let's put it that way. So in the past, this sort of unshakable idea. Along comes the King of Cups. Now the King of Cups in a relationship can be tricky because it can be about, are my emotional needs getting met? But it also can be about, do I feel like somebody is emotionally controlling my relationship? Are there ways that I feel like this is more about meeting somebody else's needs than my own? You know, on the other side of this King of Cups, it could be, am I yearning to be a parent? Am I yearning to express my compassion, my connection to other people in a new way? So we see that in one way this relationship is working, but there's a component here, emotional component, that is challenging or a little bit tricky and not quite satisfied. So again, what might be ahead for me? Three of Wands. So with the relationship lens on, I would look at Three of Wands and say, well, this doesn't necessarily mean I have to get out of this relationship, but it might indicate that it needs to change, that it needs to go into another expression, that we need to turn our back on certain ways that we've done things, and we need to move forward into maybe a land in which we are not all that familiar. So we see this King of Cups being the operative kind of agent for change here. Certainly this could mean if this relationship doesn't meet these criteria, that this person might decide to get out of the relationship. But in one way or another, this relationship needs a new vision if we're looking at these three cards through the relationship lens. So let's just finish up this idea with taking it in with the idea of the person's feeling like they're on their path, feeling like they are fulfilling all the different needs that all of us have in terms of a personal growth issue. So let's put on the personal growth lens and see what we might say. Okay, we start with the King of Pentacles. I feel like I've accomplished certain things in the physical world. I can take care of myself. I can support myself. I can manage my money. I can always find a job, a job work, and I'm not worried about that now because the King of Pentacles is the master of that realm. I feel much control in the practical aspects of my life. But again, here comes this King of Cups, but my emotional satisfaction isn't quite sated. I don't feel like I'm maybe getting enough connection. I'm not getting enough personal self-expression. I might feel like I have intuition to give. I might have love to give. I might have compassion to give. I might have caretaking energy that I want to express in the world. There's a nurturing with the King of Cups that's very well suited for people in the medical field, in the therapy field, in the caring for the elderly, caring for animals, pets, that sort of thing. So there's an expression of compassion here and self-satisfaction that may feel like it needs to find new areas for self-expression and satisfaction and fulfillment. So the general tone here is establish certain aspects, other new powerful aspects want to come in, and how do I need to change and reorganize my life in order to feel more balanced and whole? So that's something to play around with. Put on those different lenses, see how you see similarities but differences with the cards that come out on the table. Okay, hope that's helpful. I will see you next time.